Have you ever been 100 pages into a book and thought, this might be the literary equivalent of cardboard? But you keep going because if you quit, you feel like a fraud or a quitter, or worse, a bad reader. That's DNF guilt. And in this video, we're gonna dig into why it exists, how it messes with our reading lives, and how to stop letting it boss us around. DNF stands for did not finish. It's not an insult, it's just a status update. And honestly, everybody DNFs. Surveys show that most readers will leave books unfinished. One article in the Harvard Gazette even quoted literary scholars admitting that they put books down by page 50 if the magic is gone. I remember being in a book club once and I admitted hesitantly that I hadn't finished the pick. And then suddenly half the group, you could tell, just like sighed in relief and confessed that they hadn't either. It was like a DNF support group then at that point. Turns out I wasn't failing at reading. I was just normal. So why do we feel guilty? Why not just shrug and move on? There are 4 reasons that I think could be why we feel so much guilt about not finishing a book. The number 4 reason is fear of missing out. What if the book redeems itself? What if the ending turns out to be life-changing? That what if keeps us trudging through it. The number 3 reason I think is reader identity. A lot of us readers tie reading into who we are. I'm a reader. Readers finish books. So a DNF feels like a threat to that identity. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. Your actions, meaning the DNFing, don't align with your self-image. So your brain manufactures this guilt to kind of close the gap between the two. The number 2 reason is social expectation. We live in a culture where finishing equals achievement. Think about school. You're taught to read to the end even if you hate the book, because you're supposed to. That don't quit attitude follows us into our adult reading habits. Add book clubs and social media into the mix, and suddenly it's not just a book, it's peer pressure. Oh sure, let me keep reading a book that I hate so Brenda in my book club doesn't judge me. That kind of peer pressure. The number 1 reason why I think it's hard to DNF a book is something called the sunk cost fallacy. We invest time, money, and emotional energy into books. Once we're in it, it feels wrong to quit. But reality check, forcing yourself to finish a book that you don't like doesn't give you that time back, it just burns more of it. I once read 400 pages of a 600-page fantasy novel out of sheer stubbornness. I hated every minute of it after page 150, and did finishing it make me proud? No, it just made me tired. Sometimes, however, guilt is useful. It pushes us to challenge ourselves, like when you're reading something hard but valuable. But in my opinion, often guilt is just baggage. Forcing yourself through a boring book can often lead to something called a reading slump, which is you go from reading a bunch of books and enjoying reading to not wanting to read at all. If you finish a book you hated, suddenly you can feel like you don't want to read anything else after it. So the question becomes, is guilt motivating growth or just draining your joy? And let's be real, there are times when you should push through. If it's required for school or work, if you know the value will come later, if you're committed to learning something, even if it's dry. But otherwise, life is short. And let's be real, your TBR is tall.
Right.
Here's how I think you can ease the guilt. You reframe it. A DNF isn't failure, it's data. You learned what you don't like in a book. 2, you make rules. Give yourself, like I talked about, a DNF threshold. 50 pages, 3 chapters, whatever works for you. 3, normalize it. Let's talk about DNFs with our friends. You'll probably be shocked how common it is. And number 4, remember that opportunity cost. Every hour on a bad book is an hour that you could spend loving another one. Personal hack, I keep a DNF shelf on my Goodreads, and instead of it being like this failure shelf, I look at it more of a trophy shelf. Reminder of books that I gave myself the permission to walk away from. Here's the takeaway. Reading is not a punishment. It never will be. In adulthood, it's not homework either. It's joy, it's discovery, it's escape. If a book isn't giving you that, it's time to put it down. You don't need closure. You need freedom. I am a strong believer that if you are able to DNF books, then that is a form of self-care. So next time you feel that creeping guilt, remind yourself you didn't quit a book, you chose your happiness. And honestly, That's the better ending. So tell me in the comments, what's a book you've DNF'd that everyone seems to love? Mine was the Powerless series. And yes, I feel a little bit of guilt about it, but I know I'm making the right decision for myself. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all of those really nice things that help support my channel. And remember, life's too short for bad books. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.